Who knew that the cure for the quarantine is just a whole hell of a lot of Zelina Vega? Because she was all over Monday Night Raw for April 20th, 2020. And if Alexa Bliss is going to be deemed 5 Feet of Fury, then from this day on, I deem Zelina Vega 411 of heaven. Because over the course of 5 separate segments, the Get It Done by Any Means badass gal from Queens took it to the next level and throughout the night looked damn good doing it. A night which actually had some good wrestling matches. There's a crazy concept for a 3-hour Monday Night Raw and something we're never used to. In the pacing last night, the flow of the show, so much better than what we've been used to. And it helps when you have those decent matches, but it also helps when the utter bullshit that we usually get every week, and we got more of it last night, trust me, but it helps when that utter bullshit isn't dragged on. The pacing was better. These are minor details, I know, very small positives, but I look at them as a start, a beginning to something we can build upon. It's like putting the puzzle pieces where they belong, one at a time. It's going to take a while, but hopefully one day, I know, deep along into the future, it'll be. But hopefully one day we can have a full, complete, good show. Last night wasn't that, but I started to see signs of improvement. Can they build upon that? This company has not earned the benefit of the doubt, so we shall see. Only the old man in Stamford has the key to the kingdom. And before I get deep into this review, guys, I just want to touch base and mention the graphic, the warning graphic that you saw at the top of this vid and in recent vids. And it's a graphic you're going to be seeing going forward, at least for the time being. And that's because the tube is cracking down now more than ever on channels and their targeted intended audiences. And I want to make it crystal clear, beyond a shadow of a doubt, right from the jump, what this channel is all about, who it is intended for, and what to expect. Because I want to make it clear, if the tube ever has an issue with this channel or me, yet again, because they have in the past, I want to make it clear that I have done everything I possibly could have done to show the world who this channel is for. It is not for younger audiences. I understand. We swear a lot. We use a lot of heavy language, explicit language. We flip out. We rant. If you're too young, you'll probably have nightmares after listening or watching a BC Amplified video. I get it. I'm the boogeyman, the bad guy, the asshole in the community. So I make sure that everyone knows that this channel is not for younger audiences. And if a younger age demographic comes across my channel or my vid, I want to make sure that everyone knows that's not my issue. I've done everything I could. I have followed all the guidelines with the tube. There was paperwork or things we needed to file out online, I should say. Everything is online now. But there's things that we had to do as creators online to comply with the tube. But I'm taking it a step further because I know they're looking deep into this thing. And this is a federal thing now. This is even out of the tube. This is a government issue now. I want to make sure everyone knows what this channel is about and who it's intended for. And when you see that graphic right from the beginning, you know that you're in for a wild ride. This is not going to be a cookie cutter review. This is not going to be a cookie cutter podcast, or we're not going to talk about all of the hunky-dory sprinkles and rainbows aspects of pro wrestling. No, we're going to get gritty. We're going to get dirty when it talks to pro wrestling. We're going to call out a lot of bullshit, and we're going to say a lot of things that a younger wrestling fan that's just in love with their favorite superstar, we're going to say a lot of things that might upset them. And we don't want people crying. We want people to be able to hold actual conversations. And I need people watching this channel that are actually smart about the ins and outs of pro wrestling. I need people watching this channel. I need members in the amplified unit to actually know what they're talking about. If I say something like, Nia Jax sucks at what she does. I need people to understand that that's a fact, not an opinion. When I get somebody that says Tamina Snuka deserves a championship because she's been there for 10 years, I need people to understand that that is an obnoxious, dumb as fuck, stupidest shit I ever heard comment. That's not an opinion, that's stupidity. And that's not going to be tolerated on this channel. I'm just giving you guys some examples of the type of person, the type of fan, I use that loosely, that this channel is not for. Because most likely that's going to be somebody a bit too young to handle my type of content. My content is heavy. The tube is cracking down on all channels now. I want to make sure that everybody knows, including the tube and including the federal government, what this channel is. We're badass. Amplified to the core. We don't hide that fact, and I'm going to let everyone know about it right at the top of these vids and at the top of these podcasts. It might lose me viewers. It might lose me money and revenue. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. As long as I have the most hardcore wrestling fans, the most knowledgeable Amplified Unit members, I'm good. There's plenty of advertisers that already don't want to work with this channel, and that's fine. I'm deemed too explicit, too controversial for them. I don't give a fuck. I've left a lot of money on the table when I could have just conformed. Made that extra buck. Fuck that. I didn't start this. I don't do this for the money. I started this, I do this, and I continue to do this for one reason and one mission only: to change the professional wrestling landscape for the better. There's already enough schmucks in this community that conform in order to get more advertisers, or they hawk their products. They kiss ass to sponsors. That's not me. I have one mission and one mission only: make professional wrestling better again. How can the Amplified Man do that? I can use my voice based on the knowledge that I have about and in pro wrestling. And if I can get my unit together and we have enough people to voice out and change this shit, then that's what I will continue to do. And as long as I'm doing that, then I am doing my job. When you believe in something so passionately and you are so amplified and excited to talk about it and just do it, when you have that type of passion and that type of heart, the money is going to come. The money will follow. But when you're in something like this and your reasons aren't genuine, you'll never be successful. The money will never go into your bank account, I assure you. You have to want it. You have to love it. You have to stay true to yourself. And when you do that, I assure you, all the success in the world you will find. That's my fucking hoorah speech to all you guys. No, I won't conform. Yes, putting a warning label at the beginning of my vids is something that could turn people away and lose advertisers. That's fine. I need people to know, when you tune into this channel, get ready to be amplified. Let's start this review. Raw, April 20th, 2020. Drew McIntyre starts the show by issuing the official challenge to Seth Rollins for Money in the Bank. Of course, we already knew where this was going after last week. This was just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Zelina Vega, along with Austin Theory and Angel Garza, they end up hitting the top of the ramp. Zelina immediately steals my focus, attention, and total mindset with her white half top and mini white skirt to match. Not to mention her smoking hot legs, sizzling like an entire buffet. But when I regained focus, Andrade jumped Drew from behind, but McIntyre quickly gains the upper hand and delivers 2 claymores to Andrade. Zelina kept telling Theory and Garza to hit the ring and save Andrade, but they absolutely refused. This actually made Zelina look weak as fuck as a manager, and that's something you don't want to do. The whole concept of a manager is telling their stable, their wrestlers, their proteges, whatever it is, the manager's job is to tell them exactly what to do. If they're already, after just 1 week, disobeying their manager, it makes everybody look bad and weak. So I did not like that. And again, Andrade is pretty much taken out just as fast as he tried to jump Drew McIntyre. Drew took him out with 2 claymores. And again, Garza, in theory, wanted no part of this, even though Zelina was telling them to get in the ring. Interestingly enough, Zelina was on commentary for our first match of the night, which was her husband, Alistair Black, taking on her work husband, Austin Theory. This being a Money in the Bank qualifier. This was a good match, and Zelina on commentary made it even more fun. Alistair wins this match, and rightfully so. I mean, it's Alistair fucking Black. What do you expect? But what was so badass is the black mass that Black hit Theory with. You guys know it's one of my favorite moves in pro wrestling because every time he hits it, he nails it. But last night, Theory took a nasty black mass that rattled his dome piece. They showed it in slow motion, and you felt for Theory. But I didn't even need to see that shit in slow motion, because I felt that shit in real time. But that's the thing with Alistair Black and that move, and that's what makes it one of my favorite moves in pro wrestling. Every single time he hits it with full velocity, and you have to credit his opponent every time because they take it like a champion. If they don't take it badass like that, it not only makes them look like a fool, but it makes Alistair Black look like a fool. It takes 2 to tango. So I give credit to Alistair Black's opponent every time as well. That black mass is so fucking awesome. And again, you mix that with the fact that it was actually a good match. And so far, the opening of Raw, I don't mind. And I'm seeing a lot of Zelina Vega, so I'm definitely on board. Next up is Shayna Baszler versus Indy Hartwell. Pre-match, Charlie Caruso interviews Baszler, and I can't tell you one word that Shayna said, because Caruso is out there looking like a whole container of Pringles. Legs for days and thighs for the eyes. Caruso took it to the next level last night too. Between her and Vega, couldn't keep my mind straight on the action. Luckily, there wasn't a lot of action here anyway. Shayna Baszler made light work of Indy Hartwell, destroying her in the match, and then post-match, absolutely annihilating Indy Hartwell. If that's your first time ever seeing Indy Hartwell, unfortunately, guys, that's going to be your last time seeing her too. Shayna Baszler made light work of Hartwell and then absolutely, again, annihilated her. This was obviously a message, not just to Becky Lynch, but for anybody who's about to get in the way of Shayna Baszler. But the fact, guys, is the way she lost at WrestleMania to Becky Lynch, it's going to take a lot more than that to build up Shayna Baszler again. Our number 1 ends with Cedric Alexander and Ricochet versus Shane Thorne and Brendon Vinc. Good, fast-paced match. And Cedric and Rico kept the same strategy from last week when they went against the Viking Raiders, and that is strike fast and strike often. Alexander and Ricochet win, and I gotta say, they're looking pretty impressive together. Cedric and Ricochet, if they keep this up in the future, because we don't want to play hot potato, we don't want the new flavor of the month getting gold like WWE does all the time, but in the future, if they keep this up, I could see them as tag team champions. I really could, but again, build them up. Just because they got some momentum now and then the new flavor of the month, don't throw gold on them yet. That's the problem with this company. And that's why we see so much hot potato, and that's why we see a merry-go-round, where it seems that everybody gets a fucking championship. And championships change hands every other fucking Monday night, or every other Friday night. Now, our number 2 begins with a rematch from last week's Raw. The pint-sized powerhouse, Kyrie Sain, versus a whole fucking house, Nia Jax. Right on cue, there's Nia Botch. Nia goes to catapult Kyrie back first into the corner, completely mistimes it, or just doesn't give a fuck, and tosses Kyrie a full foot before the turnbuckle. Kyrie lands right on her tailbone. And that shit looked like it hurt. Like bad. Becky Lynch, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Zelina Vega, even Charlotte Flair. These are just some of the names that Nia Botch has injured one way or another already in her short career. She is careless, lazy, reckless, and just flat out fucking bad in that ring. But she's Samoan and The Rock's cousin, so no matter what, she'll be pushed. And last night, for the second week in a row, she completely, literally and figuratively squashed Kyrie Sain. Brilliant booking, Vince. Absolutely brilliant. The irony here is that for the past week, Nia Jax has been calling out Ronda Rousey for being reckless in the ring and injuring her friend Alexa Bliss, when in reality, Nia Jax is a million times worse. How the hell are you going to call somebody out when you can't even keep your own house clean? You can't even keep your own home organized and in order, but you're going to call someone else out. Get your own shit together, Nia. Because at this point, we're all playing a fucking game. Who's Nia going to injure next? The problem with that is there's going to come a time where it's no longer a game. Shit's going to get serious, and you're going to seriously injure somebody to the point where they can no longer compete. And let's just hope it's not even worse than that. That's the sad truth when you see somebody reckless like that. Seth Rollins is up next. He has word for McIntyre, accepting McIntyre's Money in the Bank challenge. Again, just like the opening to this show, we knew this was coming anyway. I would have liked to see Rollins utilized in a much different, much more unique, much more fun way last night. There's only a few weeks left before Money in the Bank. It doesn't even have to be really physicality. I mean, we've seen these guys 17 times over the last couple of years in that ring. So we already know what they can do in there. We don't even need to see them at Money in the Bank, but it looked like Seth was like in his dining room on some old chair from 1962, and he's cutting a fucking promo on Drew McIntyre. I was just thinking, can we not do better than this? Apollo Crews versus MVP in a Money in the Bank qualifier was next. Great sequence towards the end of this thing where Crews misses a frog splash and MVP hits the playmaker, but Apollo actually kicks out. Crews hits his second win and goes on a powerful offensive tear, defeating MVP. A big, big win for Apollo, who again moves on to Money in the Bank. So we saw Apollo give Alistair Black all he could handle a week or two ago. And now here he is defeating MVP. Now, I'm not shocked that he beat MVP. You got a guy who's basically retired. He's just a producer for WWE now. But just to see a little bit of momentum for Apollo, right? When he gave Alistair all he could handle a couple weeks ago, that was frustrating to me because Alistair was just coming off a quick victory over Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. So what the fuck is Apollo, who's been a jobber for the last 2 years to epic proportions, why is he giving Alistair all he can handle? But if they're gonna actually start to give Apollo a push here, then shit, I'm good with it. So that was really cool last night, and that was really big. Not only was the match decent, but the ending sequence was absolutely fantastic. And what this does for Apollo, dude, I don't mind him seeing him as one of 6 participants trying to climb this supposed corporate ladder. We'll see what Apollo can do with this opportunity. But at least he's getting it. So beggars can't be choosers, man. Pretty cool to see. Up next was Liv Morgan versus Ruby Riott. This match was only 5 minutes, but damn, it was really physical and really good in that 5 minutes. Liv Morgan looked absolutely phenomenal in this match. Dare I say, because again, it was only about 5 minutes, but this was one of, if not, Liv Morgan's best match I have ever seen her in. She was just on, man. The confidence was oozing out of her. She didn't second guess herself once. her selling, her offense all meshed. Just really phenomenal performance by Liv Morgan here. And I told you guys what she's capable of. And I told you guys she's more than just a pretty face. You saw just an inkling of that last night when she defeated Ruby Riott. Now, I don't know what this says about Ruby Riott. She's another one that just returned about a month ago, maybe a little bit more, right before Elimination Chamber. But you thought, just like when Liv Morgan got brought back, they were going to have something for her. But it was clear as day that they don't have anything for Liv or Ruby. So, as much as I'm happy that one of these ladies had their hand raised last night, it's frustrating that the other, they still just have no direction for. And even though Liv won last night, do they even have a direction for Liv? All these questions, because I question the company as a whole. Because they give me every reason to question their bullshit. But I like that Liv Morgan-Ruby Riott match. I would have loved to have seen another 3 to 5 minutes at least. They could have lengthened that up a little bit. Hour number 2 ends, and hour number 3 begins with a Money in the Bank qualifier, Rey Mysterio versus Buddy Murphy. These two went over 15 minutes, and to say it was enjoyable would be an understatement. I thought Murphy was going to Money in the Bank, but it was Mysterio who takes the W over Murphy and cements his spot into Money in the Bank. An awesome ending sequence from Mysterio, which saw the Canadian Destroyer into the 619 into the Frog Splash. So, even though you don't want to see Buddy Murphy losing, listen, if you're going to lose in that sequence to a guy like Mysterio, I'm pretty sure that's a no harm, no foul situation. But that was a huge opportunity, just like Apollo, for Money in the Bank. So it's just clear that Vince doesn't see too much in Buddy Murphy. And that's what I mean. When you have all the Joe Schmoes out there in the community anointing people like Mustafa Ali, or Ricochet, or Buddy Murphy, Austin Theory, they anoint the new flavor of the month as the future of the company, the future of the business, when they're not stopping for a second and thinking about what they're talking about. This is WWE we're talking about. They may have all the talent in the world. That doesn't mean McMahon is going to give them the time of day. Anyway, Mysterio now cements his spot, and he's going to try to, or attempt to, climb this corporate ladder on May 10th at Money in the Bank. Then we had a backstage segment where Charlie Caruso was interviewing Zelina Vega, and I could have sworn my TV started to smoke from the level of sexiness from these two. Focus, BC! Up next, Charlotte Flair defeats Kayden Carter. As if it wasn't bad enough, we had to see Flair plow through the entire NXT roster on Wednesday nights. We also now have to see Charlotte Flair run through the NXT roster on Monday nights, too. Why? Bayley isn't on Monday nights. Becky isn't on Friday nights. Can somebody explain to me why Charlotte Flair has to be on Monday nights? She is holding the NXT Championship. This is what I mean, guys. For any casual fan that comes across my channel and hears me say or use the term forced. If you don't know what the term forced means, this is the prime example of somebody being forced. Charlotte Flair taking the NXT Championship from that brand and still plowing through everybody on Monday Night Raw. And even more sadly, it's her own NXT roster. She's just taking care of them on Raw too. So where does it end in the coming weeks? Are we going to see her defeat Candice LeRae or maybe Tegan Nox on Monday Night Raw? This is what I mean, guys. This is the term forced, and this is what we all feared when she took that NXT Championship. It was bad enough that she was going to destroy everyone in NXT, but now she's also on Raw taking up airtime. For what? It's frustrating to no end. After a hammerlock DDT, Andrade defeats Tazawa up next. But two noteworthy mentions here. Number one, we got to see more Zelina. Bonus! Number two, Tazawa looked like old school Tazawa here. And that was good to see. It wasn't enough. But again, it was good to see Tazawa actually looking like he was having fun in there. A lot of good wrestling matches last night. And again, for those with short attention spans or attention of a fucking squirrel, because that's today's instant gratification society that we live in. But for you guys, nothing went over 10 minutes. Maybe one or two matches went around 10 minutes. One of them was over 15. That was Rey Mysterio and Buddy Murphy. But for the most part, they kept it around 10 minutes and under. So nobody was getting put to sleep. We had some good wrestling matches last night, man. So where was I? Yeah, Andrade now. But that wasn't even for the United States Championship. So just like the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, for the better part of over a year now, has just been meaningless. Just like when Shinsuke had the IC, and Finn Balor had the IC Championship. These championships, you don't even know who's the champion half the time. Not only are they not being defended, but the person who has them is booked even more poorly than when they don't have a championship. Hope that makes sense. But I seriously, several times a week, have to remind myself who even has these titles. Because they don't feel like championships. Up next, Bianca Belair took on Santana Garrett. Now, there are certain things that bring an instant smile to my face. Def Leppard, Zelina Vega's legs, hitting a jackpot at the casino, and seeing Bianca Belair. That brings an instant smile to my face. Unfortunately, I literally could not enjoy the match because the cheerleading squad was out there on commentary. Of course, we're talking about the street bums, Montez Ford and Doughboy. Fam? What's up, fam? What are you doing today, fam? Can I eat something from your fridge, fam? And usually they're annoying as fuck, but last night they took annoying to another level, and I grew up watching individuals like the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior. I myself am amplified 24 hours a day, but I have never in my life seen or heard any two people at any given time be that fucking obnoxious. I legit cringed 7 times and nearly changed the channel 3 times. How the fuck do you change the channel on Bianca Belair? You don't, and I didn't. But I almost did, thanks to the Clown Car Express. Choo-choo! Chugga-chugga, motherfucker! All aboard the Clown Car Express, known as the Street Bums, Montez Ford and Doughboy. Anyway, my gal wins, Bianca Belair. She needs to not be with the Street Bums ASAP. She needs to be on her own. This is taking away from Bianca Belair. She has the look, the presence. She is dominating in the ring. She's got the skill. She does not need the Clown Car Express rolling into the station every time she's in that ring. If anybody could concentrate on Bianca's match last night, more power to you. I don't know how you did it. But damn, I love me some Bianca Belair. Main event was Drew McIntyre versus Garza, which means more Zelina Vega! And Zelina's legs, because Zelina's legs come with Zelina Vega. It's a total package. You can't have one without the other. Love and marriage. You guys remember Married with Children, the TV show? No? Am I dating myself here? Where the fuck was I, man? Every time I think of Zelina Vega, my mind goes off track. Anyway, the main event. I mean, this review of the main event is probably going to be longer than the main event. This thing didn't even go 5 minutes. Drew McIntyre defeated Garza, and this was via the Claymore. And he hits a second one for good measure post-match. And then we could clearly hear the referee telling Theory to get in the ring and take a Claymore. They keep forgetting that there's nobody in attendance. There's no crowd. So we can hear everything you're saying. So the ref is telling Theory to get back in the ring to take a Claymore. I mean, this was just rushed, silly, and plain stupid. I did not like the ending of Monday Night Raw at all. I love that they're actually attempting to build McIntyre. Don't get me wrong. And I do want to see more of that. This was not the way to go about business, though. Feeding Zelina Vega's new stable to Drew McIntyre is not what I would have built that stable for. And by the way, to do this all within 5 minutes, to basically take out that stable in 5 minutes? Come on, dude. I always say you can't build somebody up, or you shouldn't build somebody up by tearing someone else down. It's not going to benefit anybody. So you're building up Drew. That's great. Trust me, I want to see more of that. But you're tearing down Zelina's new stable in the process. You can't do that. But all in all, that was Monday Night Raw, man. Not a fucking bad show. I know. If you went on social media, man, everybody that's just got power fingers, they're probably trashing this shit because they're just so used to doing such. And that's in the eye of the beholder, man. Whatever your opinion and however you came to that opinion, that's fine. It's my duty here on this channel to dissect these shows better than anyone else in the community. That's why I have the audience that I do, and that's why my words hold weight, not because I say so, but because thousands of people say so. And I take that to heart, and I take that very seriously, and I thank everybody for coming to me for these reviews and listening to these words. And I take that very seriously, and I make sure that when I dissect these shows, I'm not just going on how I feel about a situation. I feel that's what too many people do, especially in this community. I make sure that when I am reviewing something, that it's coming from the most honest point of view possible, and not just an emotion that I have at the moment, or a feeling, or how I feel about a certain individual. You're going to get the blunt honesty and truth, but it's going to be at the most amplified level. And when I look at this show, of course, we just went over a bunch of mind-boggling, just utter bullshit. But there were some good wrestling matches on here. And no utter bullshit was dragged out. There's signs of improvement in this show. And that's what I want to kind of focus on going further and going into the future. Now, I can only do that if Vince McMahon in the WWE focuses on those positives and extends them. Expands, I should say, on them. And if they start to expand on those positives, you know, we got the makings. We have the recipe of what could be in the future. We hope one day a good show again. Like a complete good show. Yes, there was a lot of good on this, but it's far from a complete good show. Far from it. There's too many holes that need to be filled still. There's a lot of garbage that needs to be taken out that is still on these shows. And there's talent that is still being misutilized. There's storylines that are just not being utilized correctly. There's stories that are just not being told. All right, see, I didn't want to do this. I'm already calling out like the million things that are just horrible about this show. But there was some good last night that I haven't seen in a long time. Expand on that shit. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to give you guys an impromptu vid tomorrow. And of course, AEW NXT's review Thursday. The podcast coming up this weekend, hopefully by Friday. Saturday, the SmackDown review and reaction. So even though the month of April is winding down, we still have a whole hell of a lot of content still to come. Much love to all you guys. Keep rocking it out. I know we're getting through this, man. We're getting through it. Think, be, live amplified.